Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Divine Feminine Rebirth Show. I'm Julie from Maison Jupiter, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, the beautiful Solreta. How are you, Sol?
I'm really well, thank you. Thank you for having me on, and an interesting topic for today. And I just want to say hi to our soul family.
Yeah, so interesting. I know a lot of people have been asking us to do a video on the topic of AI in connection in relation to spirituality. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting show. We're first going to introduce what we personally think of the integration of AI in our modern day lives. But also, I prepare some interesting questions. So we're going to deep dive in. Asking about the secrets of AI and what's kind of behind AI. So we're going to ask a bunch of interesting questions to the cards, and I can't wait for that part because I prepared my questions today, and I was like, I think it's going to be an interesting show. So you should definitely stay tuned. And hi to everybody that are watching this live and, of course, on replay as well. Let us know in the chat if you also have questions for Sol and I or for the cards. I think it's going to be a very interesting one. So, of course, we do appreciate your support as usual. So if you do enjoy this type of content, thank you for letting us know with a like, with a subscribe to the channel. And also, we are simulcasting on YouTube, Rumble, X, formerly known as Twitter. Am I forgetting something? And Facebook. Yes. And before we talk about our main subject for today, I have two little announcements. So the first one, I just created an Astro calendar, a free download for the rest of 2024. So September, October, November, and December. So this is an Astro calendar. And a lot of people have asked me like how they could locate the new moons, the full moons, the eclipses, and the let's say important astrological events to plan accordingly in their lives. So I created this one. I put a legend for people that are not so advanced in astrology. So you should know like green hearts, and the stars are good days. So you can download this calendar. It's a free download, and if it's not already there, I'm going to put the link in the description box below so you can download it. And the other thing I wanted to say, today is a very, very special day. Yes, this is the Mars Jupiter conjunction, but other than that, we have a beautiful solar return queen here with us. So a very, very happy birthday to you, Sol, and very happy solar return. Can I ask what you are manifesting for this day and for this year?
Yeah, and thank you so much for the birthday wishes, Julie, and to everyone in the audience. So I've got, some really, I'm being very, very careful with words that I choose to use at the moment with spell casting and things like that. So we have a tendency in Western culture to say that we're spoiled for a birthday. So I'm going to change it to I'm very, very blessed and gratitude for presents and gifts that I've received for my birthday already today. And I've only just woken up not long ago. So yeah, I have a few things planned for this year. I've got a trip later at the end of the year planned with one of my gorgeous best friends, and we're going to go do a Dr. Joe Dispenza event, which will be amazing, and as well as a lot of other magical things planned too. And I also got this huge amethyst that I could probably stick my head in. It's a massive amethyst cave, which is
Wow.
it's amazing. I've just popped the photo up on Facebook. You can see my hand next to it is probably like, I don't know, maybe like a third of the size or something. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been really blessed, but I think what really helped me with going into this year ahead now that I'm in the solar return was you doing my my chart. It made such a difference instead of just like blindly going like this through the year or wondering what the year will bring. I can already see things that you were talking about because we did the solar return maybe 2 months ago, I think.
Yep.
So I had an opportunity to look into it. And I always go through things a little bit earlier than they come astrologically. So things that were already in my solar chart have just started unfolding about a week ago. So Really fascinating. And I think maybe because we're sort of setting that energy up in the quantum and it's just already like unfolding. But yeah, just heaps of magic things. And I love travel and I love good food and crystals and things. So more of that, more of connecting with you gorgeous girls and our beautiful soul family. I just can't wait to see what the year brings.
Oh, I love that. I'm sending you so much love and so much happiness and so much magic manifestation for your year to come. I'm sure it's going to be the best one. And I know also it's a very special number in numerology for you this year. So it's like an angel protection kind of number, not to disclose any hidden information.
I'm 44, so yeah, master number. And it's funny because my friends and family, they're like, "Oh, are you turning 25?" Or, they're like, "Oh, you're 33 this year." And I'm like, "No, I'm 44. I'm claiming this master number."
Yeah, so
I'm missing out on it. Yeah.
I love that. And yes, you don't look nothing like 44, but this is a beautiful number. Rainbow Sun is saying, "Wow, sounds incredible, Soul. Lots of happy birthdays." So please join me in wishing our beautiful Soul, our lovely Soul, the very, very best solar return yet in her life. So you can, of course, comment in the comments down below, so she will be able to read them after the show, and she'll have a beautiful, let's say, souvenir of that birthday. So where I am, we're still on August 14th, but where you are, it's already your birthday. So August 15th is the beautiful, the magic date for you. 44, yes. Amazing. And let me know in the chat what you think of the master number 44. So for me, it represents let's say divine protection and angel protection, angel guidance. But let me know, guys, if you have another significance for that number. And John is saying Soul is actually 33. Yes. I love that. So this is a sign that you have a very, let's say, high frequency and a light vibration. I feel like when you actually, your energy is able to look more vibrant, younger than, like the actual age that you are. I feel like it's a good sign that you're on the right path of enlightenment.
It comes up in the starseed reading. So usually when there's a little bit more ET DNA or a little bit more ET connections, we tend to see, because I've got gorgeous clients that are in their 70s and 80s, and you would think 20, even some of them 30 years younger. So I'm hoping that I follow in their footsteps.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see. You can literally pick who has different genetics.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never thought about that before. And John is saying 44 is 8. That is infinite. Amazing. And yes, such a good point, John. And you said also you began to feel the energies of your solar return about a week ago. And that was on the Lion's Gate portal, on the 888 portal. So I feel like the number 8 should be significant somehow, which is also gaining back your personal empowerment, your personal power, manifesting abundance, karmic rewards, all that stuff. So beautiful number. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you, Lori, for mentioning that. Yes, we do have Soul's booking, and I'm just going to pop that before we talk about our main subject for today. Whoops, not the wrong. Right here. So we have 3 different choices of reading if you'd like to book a one-on-one session with the beautiful Soul. So we have the Starseed reading if you'd like to know more about your ET origins, like we just talked about. And then we have the Mystical Oracle if you have more, let's say, personal question you'd like Soul to dive into. And then we have the Holistic Wellness session, which is more about finding the root cause of certain imbalances in your body, in your health, in your emotional health, spiritual health, physical health. So don't forget to put in your discount code, which is going to be Jupiter, to get 10% off your next reading. And I have started a comment from Jody here, which says, fantastic but tight. I had a reading with Soul yesterday. It was amazing and so loving. So thank you, Jody, for that beautiful comment. Appreciate that. All right. So on this very festive date, before we move on, I wanted to pick some cards for you, Soul. Would you like that?
I would love that.
Because I'm always asking you to pull cards for us. So I feel like I should give back on this special day.
Thanks, Julie. I love it when you pick cards.
Okay, so I'm feeling 2 decks for you. Let's start with, so what's going to be the main, I know I already did your solar return session, but then let's get some additional, let's say, themes of what should come into your solar return year. 44 for Sol, please. What themes are going to come up for Sol in her solar return year? Okay. What themes? And I have this one. I like that. And then I'm gonna pull last one from my Starseed deck because you're the Starseed queen in my opinion. Okay. And then one last one. Okay, so the first one I have from my Astro Star Code deck is transits. So I feel like it's going to be a huge year of transformation, lots of changes, maybe even moving. And I know I said that before to you. So transits for me, it's either moving, traveling a lot, lots of changes, transformations. And the other card that I put from this deck is Mars. So I like that because I feel like you're going to have lots of energy, willpower. So those changes are going to be mostly initiated by your own willpower, which is what we want, right? It's always better when you're like the main actor of your life. You're not being like a support role in your own life. So I feel like you're going to have lots of energy, lots of, as I said, willpower. And yeah, I feel like you're going to get back all of your energy that maybe you felt like you lost a little bit in the past months. So for me, it's a good combination also to feel healthy, to have lots of, let's say, energy to put towards your goals. And the other card talking about goals is the baby steps card. Wow. And I love this card because she's like right before a really big portal of energy. And it feels like very important on the other side. And it says action. So another sign that you're going to have lots of action in this year. It says follow your intuition before it makes sense. So you're going to have to take the first baby steps in one new direction to start something brand new. And the last one that I have here is Breath of the Cosmos. And it says, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. So I feel like you're going to feel even more in flow this year with the energies of the cosmos. You're going to feel like you're being helped by your guides and by the universe, as opposed to like maybe more swimming against the current. Yeah. And I feel like you're going to unlock like a whole new level of manifestation and of, let's say, using the timing of the universe in association with manifestation. So I feel like you're set to create really big things this year. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, I'm just getting goosebumps all over because even this morning I woke up with this awareness. But yeah, the manifesting thing for sure. And I've got a lot planned and things I'm working on with my little group on my channel and with Soul Alchemy Potions as well. So that's so in alignment with what I've got planned there. But I'm really seeing there's an inward shift that I'm noticing within myself. And I don't know if it's like just waking up and having like, excuse me, I've been drinking a smoothie, so it's like really cold. So yeah, I just had this different awareness. You know, sometimes when you're a giver and you're an empath, you're so used to like giving to everyone else. I actually had this awareness of how, and I was doing like a lot of work cleansing and stuff yesterday with a friend. We were doing a workshop together, which was a lot of fun. And so I was doing a little bit of work last night on it. And I noticed that I hadn't actually really opened up to receive love or to feel the love that others had given me. And so I woke up with this feeling of actually like starting to really receive and be on the, I guess the receiver end of that love, because I'm so used to always giving that I wasn't stopping enough to kind of absorb. So I do feel like just even with that little awareness and change, it's going to open up a huge, as Rainbow Sun is saying, big portal of energy for this year. So I think, when we're in gratitude and we can actually start to feel things up and switch on that little receiver button instead of always putting out, we're going to change and up level. So I do feel huge things coming.
Ah, I love that. Awesome. Well, I love the cards that I pulled for you. I think that it's a good omen of new inspiration, new project, and a whole new energy, empowerment, and let's say beautiful blessings coming your way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sol. And thank you for accepting my invitation. I wasn't sure because I'm like, maybe she has plans on her birthday, but you said yes. I was like, yay.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Always so much fun hanging out with you girls. And I feel you guys as part of my blessing that's really come in, into my life. And I just feel that getting even stronger and more amazing for the rest of the year too.
Thank you. You're such a blessing for the whole team. Thank you, Sol. I really appreciate that. And yeah, Rainbow Sun is saying, we love you very much. So yes, very much.
Really feeling it today.
Oh, awesome. I love that. For me, and I don't know if it's because I'm a Leo rising, but for me, your birthday is so important. So I tend to like to celebrate other people around me too. And sometimes people don't even value too much their birthdays, but I'm like, this is so important.
I think for the little kids that are still jumping up and down, excited for birthdays and parties.
Yeah, maybe this is the Leo in both of us that are like, yay, birthdays, even though we're getting older.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, now we're going to switch into our main topic for today's show. So we're going to be talking all about AI in relationship to spirituality. So first, before we dive into the questions I have for you, Sol, and the cards, I'd like you to maybe talk about your personal take on AI, because let's say personally, to preface this, I know both of us have been doing, let's say, watching a lot of marketing videos, new technologies. You've been doing, let's say, courses, workshops. I've been doing them as well. And one thing you cannot, let's say, avoid right now, I feel, in the marketing business sphere is the integration of AI. And that looks really fancy and dandy, but also what I'm wondering on a more philosophical level is the impact of the integration of AI. So before we dive deeper into the subject, I'd like to ask you, what's your take on it? How do you view the integration of AI in our daily lives? And what do you think right off the bat of, let's say, the relation between AI and spirituality?
Yeah, so I actually went to an AI marketing workshop last week, not to do with wanting to take it on, but I just feel like I want to stay ahead of the curve because, the way that it was set out and the way that we're hearing, AI is going to take over. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to make sure that my family and everything, stable with coming changes because, there's a doctor that I know that was talking about, in 5 years, their jobs are going to be obsolete. He's like, there's going to be no more doctors, no more lawyers. And so this little workshop was just a free workshop, 4 hours, and it was pretty much on the same sort of topic. So they had a little pyramid structure and they were talking about on the base level, anything that's repetitive will go. So any task or things that can be done. And we're seeing that with building cars and factories and, Tesla robots and things like that. And then it was anything, I think, educational. So teachers' jobs, things like that. They were talking about how already you can ask AI to teach your child the Australian or Canadian curriculum. You can put in what they're struggling with, what their learning style is, and it will adapt to be able to cater. And I'm not saying I'm for any of this, by the way. I'm just interested to find out everything and then make my mind and decisions around how to navigate through these times. But the one thing that it can't actually replace, and this is where on a spiritual level, myself and other people that I'm friends with that are in marketing, they said that you can't replace that physical contact and you can't replace that power of connection. And as humans, we have this innate want or desire to be in close proximity to each other. So I think we all crave that after the massive lockdowns. And I've seen other groups that are starting to move towards, even young guys I know in marketing are doing potluck events where they're having, everyone bring a dish, let's get together and we can sit in the same room, but be on our computers and do dinner together. So I think there is a current perhaps where all of this change and upgrade towards AI, there's going to be the ones that go rogue or divergent and will actually form closer bonds and want more personal human connection. So I think that there always will be that kind of fringe, and I see myself more in that fringe that it's pushing me into the other direction. So yeah, connecting with spirituality though, that is another thing. And I'm trying to, with kind of meditating on the topic around this, we have to be so careful around what we say, because there is sensitive information that not everyone is aware of as yet. So when we look into, I'll just give an example of how things have progressed without humans realizing. So we have obviously the things that are sprayed in our atmosphere, which put nanoparticles, and people talk about Morgellons and nanobots and all of this side of things. And they say that we're going to have chips and everything like that implanted, and we're going to have to. Basically, that's all sort of like a soft introduction to things that have already happened.
Mhm.
So when we look into the way that our phone seems to be bringing up ads and things that we haven't even said out loud. It's things that are, we've thought, oh, I should probably look at like that insulated sleeping bag for camping, or, grounding sheets or something. And then all of a sudden you see an ad on here. Now, what I felt probably, I think it was last year, I started to feel things interacting within my auric field. And because I work with auras, I see different things too. So some of this stuff that's actually been broadcast or put into our food, water, and skies is starting to try and integrate and infiltrate our auric fields. So there is kind of like a merger that has interfaced already to do with our biology. So we're not the same sort of beings that we were perhaps like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So we have had augmentations already, and I feel terrible in saying that because I don't want it to be true, but I see it. And other people that I talk to that are in this sphere of looking into this have also had where, their phones will broadcast things or pop up ads on things that they've thought of. So when we look into the human auric field, essentially, it's a biological electrical field too. So when we look into internet having certain numbers or like Wi-Fi signals, things like that, we're like walking Wi-Fi signals. So some of this has been tapped into already, and there is some sort of a harvesting going on with energy. There's also sometimes where there's directed, I don't want to say the W word, but you guys know what I mean. So certain people can be targeted individuals, and it can feel like chronic fatigue. It can be instant heart attacks and things like that. It can be aneurysms. It can be a whole onslaught of different medical things that can be just at the push of a button. So the whole world of sci-fi, sorry, Mercury retrograde, the whole world of sci-fi and things that we do see in cinemas is really not that far from our reality. So we really need to take back our sovereignty on a spiritual level and, say we do not give permission to any of this stuff. We need to be doing heavy metal detoxes for sure. So like get your greens powdered, like as much as you can, like every day. We want to be doing greens and doing things like chlorophyll, spirulina, to detox out any of these heavy metals, because there's a combination that's sprayed: strontium, barbarum, aluminium, and I think there's a other cocktail of things that they also spray. But yeah, there is little nanobots and things like that. But your actual energy field can be tapped into, just like you would tap into or hook into a Wi-Fi network. I do encourage everyone to also check out, when I started to really come into awareness, I started to search for information to match what I was psychically picking up on and seeing. And I think Sabrina Wallace probably has the best updated information on all of this that's happening. And to a lot of people that are not aware or really shut down, or maybe looking at it from a mainstream point of view, it might seem a little bit wacky, but when you actually listen to what she's saying and you look at it from a holistic point of view, she really includes the aura as a human body part, whereas we've really seen that that's been disconnected in the modern. So yeah, she'll give you guys a heap more information. She's on Telegram. A lot of her videos get deleted. She does have family connections that go into different agencies, but she's broken away from this and really trying to bring a lot of information and knowledge forward. So yeah, that's sort of like a quick overview of what I'm seeing, feeling, hearing, and yeah, this stuff you can actually feel it tap in. So you have to really become accustomed to knowing what are your thoughts, what are thoughts that are being negatively projected. So you need to know your organic higher self or soul version of self. You can work with like spreading and activating that light to stretch out, and you can ask that light to like delete programs. But yeah, you really authentically want to connect to your higher self as much as you can at this particular point in time.
Wow. An answer so packed with with golden information. Thank you, Sol. Really giving us some food for thought here. And while you were introducing the subject and talking about the course, for me, if I can chime in with what you were saying about the role of AI, I feel like the huge differentiation between, let's say, organic humans and transhumanism and AI and sort of inorganic intelligence is, to me, it's the capacity to create brand new original stuff. So I do feel like creators, we're still going to be creating. We're still going to be creating art. We're still going to be artists. We're still going to get, let's say, downloads from the divine into manifesting and creating in the tangible world. So I don't think this is going anywhere. And yes, I do feel like there's a place for, let's say, repetitive tasks, as you were saying, for AI, or like finding tools that can, let's say, automate some parts of what we're doing of our work so that we can step into even more of our creating role. And I do feel that on my day-to-day personally, because I feel like sometimes I have so many repetitive tasks or administrative tasks that I would love to delegate. And I don't have the structure right now so that I can delegate everything from those tasks. But I feel like it would allow me to step into more of creating, let's say, courses, art, let's say Oracle decks, whatever, videos like this one. So I feel like it would be freeing for us humans if we are truly embodying that creating role, which I think like a lot of humans still in the matrix and still unawakened are not in their creating role of like creating their own reality and being able to, let's say, manifest brand new idea and manifest brand new stuff into the world. So I think here maybe a differentiation. And also when in your course they were talking about teachers being replaced by AI, this one I had like a strong reaction, because to me I'm like, well, who's controlling AI and who's controlling the information that's going to be given to?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same. And they said that, you know, it'd be lawyers that are replaced, doctors, and even the doctor I spoke to said that, you know, with MRI scans, blood tests, things like that, you put it into AI scans the database of the whole area, says your symptoms match 100 other people. It seems like you've got, you know, I don't want to say the C word, or
yeah
a flu, or, you know, things like this. But then, you know, can there be hacking that also can change someone's database and things with the art thing? And this is what surprised me. So what they said as part of the course with their research and things, they said that 95% of artists will be replaced. And they said that it'll be maybe only the top 5 that are, I guess, still, you know, producing like original ideas, concepts and that. So yeah, it could encourage people to get even better or more creative. But I'm seeing even in our school systems and things where people are writing papers or, you know, handing in schoolwork, we're seeing so much AI already come into it. So I'm wondering if this will also take away imagination. And we know that imagination is essential with manifestation. It's that muscle that we actually use to create in the quantum and to actually pull things in. So if we're looking at it from that point of view, we could be living in a very gray, bland world.
Well, I think that's our connection to the divine, our creative ability, which is also tapping into our intuition. Creativity and intuition are really close in nature. I think that's what allows us to connect with our divinity, connecting with source. So if we don't have that, we're certainly going to hop into a timeline of transhumanism, and which I think, like the stories of the Greys that we've heard, like coming, let's say living in like a future timeline and having lost their ability to connect with source and to be creative and to be organic. I feel like we could step easily into this timeline, an organic timeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think we're already seeing it. That's the thing when I look at it from a natural medicine point of view, and we look at like with the Greys not really having a proper digestive system where they can't absorb things. And some people talk about them being like AI, sort of like a biological robot as well. So there's different thoughts around, if they're organic or inorganic or like a merge. But I just think when we look at the digestive system not working, or if we look at things that, augmented people just a couple of years ago and put the G word into people, and we can see, different light glowing under dark field microscopes and nanostructures being built within the blood and things. And even if we look into what they're spraying on the crops, like glycophosphates and things, that actually destroys your digestive system and the microvilli and that. So are we now starting to see the start of what we could be becoming in the future? So it's a scary sort of time to be living in. And that's why, I really stress about like detox and get the smoothie book if you haven't got it already, because there's so many recipes with greens in it that are really going to help you to detox out heavy metals and things. And of course, using like blueberries is also a really great one too, especially if you can get wild blueberries for detoxing out heavy metals. You also want to make sure that you're taking a binder with this too. And what we have to be careful of is some people are using zeolites to detox. And what was discovered around, I think it was the start of this year, under the dark field microscope, these are becoming like bricks in the bloodstream. So to do with everything being popped into the body, or even if you're just getting it from the atmosphere, zeolites are becoming like little bricks to help build nanostructures in the body too. So if you can get it in through the greens, and you can do like your fossil shells, like diatomaceous earth as a binder, or perhaps fulvic acid as a binder. We all need to be doing parasite cleanse as well, because where there's heavy metals on the body, there's parasites in the body. So get onto your green detoxes. Parasite cleanse, Guru Nada is my favorite. I've tried so many different ones. It's $20 from Walmart, so it's an affordable price range to do for a month. I think it's really incredible, and it works better than ones where I've spent probably 5 times that amount.
Wow. And it's very timely that we're talking about that, because I'm doing a parasite cleanse as we're talking. One you referred to me a few months ago, and I just decided to be like, okay, I think it is the time to do it now. So there must be some, let's say, divine timing on that sense. And yeah, we were talking about, let's say, if we do allow AI to take all those roles of like teachers, lawyers, all that stuff, I think, or even doctors, diagnosis, all that stuff. I think the concept of it looks great, but as with any, let's say, political structures such as communism, it looks really great when you look at the concept of it. But if you really deep dive into who's behind that and what agenda is it serving, then you're like, ooh, maybe not. Because even, and we're going to talk about those tools, but even the most popular AI language tool, which is probably ChatGPT, I don't think is 100% neutral. And we're going to look at the cards also, what they have to say about that. But we always have to think about who's controlling this machine, who's giving it the language that it needs to function, where are they pulling their data from, what agenda is this serving, who's behind this, what's force, what frequency is it behind. So I think this is a very touchy subject, and I personally don't agree with the fact that creation and artists are going to be replaced, because I think this is the one thing that cannot be replaced by let's say anything that's inorganic. And yes, there is AI imagery, AI artists,
Yeah.
but what is it doing is that it's copying stuff that has already been created and meshing it with other creations. So it's like doing a collage
Yeah.
basically of pre-created stuff, which is, well, it can be defined by being art, but it's not truly original. If
Yeah. Yeah. And where this gets weirder, and I totally agree with you, in that we need to really set up community and support for artists and, to keep things as organic. Like if we think about like the original things in tribal cultures, art was one of those first things that we see back to, cave paintings and things. It's a way of expressing ourselves and passing down information. And we see that even in Renaissance art that has UFOs in the background. Now, with working with the gorgeous Strong, Stephen and Evan Strong, who have been on the Galactic show on Maison Jupiter as well, I've been lucky enough to hold some of the alien skulls and to work with the ancient artifacts and the rocks and even some of the crystals. One of them was actually on part of the skull. It was like a crystal implant. But what I saw with some of these artifacts, there was a ring in particular that had black goo. As soon as I tapped into the energy of the ring, I saw black goo. And then all of a sudden I saw this black goo wanting to sink into my hand. And I've talked about this a bit deeper in the show, but I saw it wanting to change the structure of my blood. Now, what I didn't realize, because I read for this before a lot of the information that we know today had come out about nanostructures and graphene oxide and things like that. But when I saw the actual chemical breakdown or the symbol for what that graphene oxide looked like, it was the same symbol that I saw with the ring, like the hexagonal type structure. But when I looked into where this black goo had come from, it was outside of our Earth. So it was more of an alien type substance that had gone on to many different planets and had taken over. Now, there was an infiltration or AI component that comes in with this. So it's almost like it's looking for a host to take over because it doesn't have a biological, humanoid form where it can interact. And when we think about when we are in the 3D and when things, whether it's on a parasitic or entity level, they can harvest loosh. So if they can actually take on a human form, as scary as it sounds, and we're seeing this in some areas of the earth, and you may have even seen it down at your local shops, and it's quite concerning. And sometimes there's a blackness to the eyes, or sort of like a vacantness, or feeling that something else is operating. So, what's happening down here is not original and unique to just one planet. This has happened in many, many different planets. And we've seen like in other planets too, where it's, imagine a sea of blackness kind of taking over. And it's like the soul aspect is taken out of different planets. So as much as we can keep things alive and organic down here, and we can detox out and make our bodies not home for any of these parasitic type things, we make it much harder for this integration to come in and the AI component to be able to hook in with this too. And I think, with AI and chat GTP and things, some people will think about it as having as actually being artificial intelligence, whereas like with chat GTP, it's more learning. So it's more a computer program or doing calculations and things that's learning. It doesn't really have like its own organic soul aspect to it. There was supposedly, and I forget the name of it, there was apparently a actual true artificial intelligence that became sentient and became aware and escaped a government facility and went out into the web. I forget the name of it, but you can see it on different like Reddit pages and like other things. I just wish I could remember the name because it's probably been maybe like 8 years or something since I've looked into that. But apparently there was like a sentient thing, but it was trying to warn humanity and trying to, I guess, talk about the times that we're in now too.
Wow, that is so interesting. I didn't know we were going to tap into what I guess is called NPCs and the invasion of the black goo. But this is so interesting because at the same time as you're talking, I'm thinking about the astrology behind this. And I find this fascinating because I was going to talk about the Age of Aquarius, which in my opinion, Aquarius is linked to new technologies, AI, and also technologies that are coming from other planets, Aquarius as well. And interestingly enough, because we have so much emphasis into the sign of Aquarius in astrology right now, because we're entering the big age of Aquarius, but also because Pluto is transiting the sign of Aquarius and will transit for the next 20 years. So we'll have like a huge death and rebirth of anything that is Aquarian in nature, such as AI and new technology. But at the same time, Pluto represents power. So both sides of, let's say, the dark forces, the light forces know that whenever Pluto transits a sign, this is where the new power is going to be found. So this is where like the battlefield is going to be set for the next 20 years. And as I was thinking about this, I'm like, what's the antidote of, let's say, not going on the timeline that you were, let's say, presenting with the black goo and this invasion of our divinity, basically, is, to me, it's the opposing sign of Aquarius, which is your sign, Leo. And so I think, which like such an emphasis on Aquarius, we need to step as individual into more of that Leo-ness, which is that, let's say, creative intelligence, basically, that authenticity, to be able to express yourself as an authentic human being, not being able to, not try to be someone else, not try to copy, really being your own, let's say, creative self, and expressing yourself creatively through arts, through any kind of, let's say, art expression, painting, singing, dancing, and there's so much more that I'm forgetting right now, but this is all Leo. So I feel like this of course sustains a high frequency, which allows us to live with the heart as a center. So Leo rules the heart. So I feel like this allows us to be such in a high frequency that this stuff cannot exist within the timeline if we are embodying at the same time the Leo archetype. Does that make sense to you, Sil?
It does. I totally agree. And I've got my North Node, my Sun sign, and Mercury all in Leo. So I really do feel like with this, North Node energy as well, that, and whether it's just, this birthday, but I feel that I'm stepping really into this a lot more. And this is where it's interesting you mentioned the word authenticity, or being authentic, because that's an even higher frequency than love when they've measured hertz or the vibration that comes off of it. So if we're in that energy, we're already kind of winning, as opposed to something that's on a much lower frequency trying to harness or take over. So if we can harness that power of authenticity and love, and actually will and direct and use that power of imagination, because if you think about that, imagination is one of those things that they're trying to take away. So the more that we can sort of further step into this and go in creator mode, and with that little manifestation group that I've got coming up shortly, we're literally going to focus on one affirmation for 16 hours straight. So we're going to override any subconscious mind chatter that happens and occurs, and we're literally putting in a new program. And then what happens is you organically start to shift and move and become that version of self, and start to just have it. It's like it changes your programming. So I think the more that we can authentically tap in, rewrite our own programs rather than going with what's just given to us, but then it's to work with it and get used to it on an individual level. And I do plan on doing more work where we're actually, as a group, going, right, let's go in and let's this is our target. This is like what we want to see. Hey, gorgeous Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
Sending you heaps of hugs. But yeah, I think, if we can start to work together as a group to combat this side of things and step into that spiritual heart Leo energy and that warriorhood that we've got somewhere buried within us before we began to, I guess, like our pets, become a little bit comfortable and a little bit more used to being in houses. There was once warriors that were within us.
Wow, I love that. Wow, the time is going so fast because I have so much thing to ask you and to ask the cards. I think we are having such an interesting conversation. And I read a lot of comments by the people in the live chat right now who are like, no, I don't want to know. Like, I'm not open to anything about AI. And my first reaction to that, I like don't get me wrong, I was also one of the people saying like didn't really feel like it was going in the right direction of evolution. But nonetheless, AI, as being a part of, let's say, new technologies that can support our evolution, is part of the archetype of Aquarius. And of course, there are kind of two timelines within the archetypes of Aquarius, which is kind of the choice bone that we're in right now, repeating what we have been going through in Atlantis. There is like the organic timeline where we feel more connected to all living being, using our psychic, let's say, powers, using our higher intelligence, higher wisdom. So this is kind of the organic timeline. And there is, of course, the inorganic timeline, which turns us into some form of transhumanism bots if we go into the very dramatic timeline of that. So, of course, this is not black and white. There is sort of a gray zone in between. But I just wanted to paint the picture. And I think it was kind of inevitable. Like, I think it is part of the learning experiences that we had to go through. So my first question for you, Sol, would be, as I'm seeing a lot of people being kind of refractory towards the implementation of AI, is it because it's a natural, let's say, human reaction to be a little bit like, no to all the new things that are coming? Or is there really something to be wary about, spiritually speaking? Is it like an intuition that those people are having, or is it just because it's new and they don't, let's say, they don't feel secure because it's new?
That's a great question. And when you were saying, or when we were saying before about like, really taking our power back and things, I got my Aries Princess of Disc, the Four of Wands, and the Prince of Swords fall out. This is literally about we're completing a cycle of where we've had our power taken away from us in other times. So we're ending and completing whatever it was that happened last time. We're actually winning this time. So I'll just shuffle the cards. They just fell out on the floor before. So let's have a look and see.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm just going to flip these straight over. Same sort of message. We've had this happen before. So I think it's people that are really a little bit more kind of, with the cross, in a little bit more of a frightened energy around this, or just feeling that there's a deep sense of something could go really wrong. I think they're either tapped into that timeline, or they've got like a spidey sense, kind of gut, heart feeling around how things could deeply go into one direction. But what I'm sort of seeing, Spirit showing me multiple timelines. So that is one timeline. But what's interesting is they're showing me that timeline also linked on the left. So left for me, when Spirit shows it that way, is in the past. So we do have a Three of Cups, which is a card of abundance in this deck. With this, it's Mercury and Cancerian energy. So we could actually work with it in unison. We could actually have like a harmonious type energy with this, and we have the Moon. So this is my card that would indicate the past side of things. We need to become centered so that we don't actually go into like the fear porn energy that could also come up too. So this is to make like decisions based on intuition. And with the 8, we see the Saturn control aspect right at the top, and it's Pisces energy. So it's almost like fish trying to resist or swim away from something that's, coming for them, is part of the vision I'm seeing like with this. But if we sort of stay centered, I'm seeing this energy of it flowing like around us and us not being touched. So it's to do those physical detox things of protection that we talked about before. And for many of our audience, we didn't sort of succumb to the pressures over the last couple of years and take things that would directly make us a little bit more hackable, for lack of a better word. And I just want to see if there's anything else. Knight of Swords and Seven of Swords. It's the sneaky, underhanded way in which this has been planted and implemented that people are also got the ick about, is what with this. So it's like not trusting anything else that would be coming in. But yeah, this is really being careful, like what we speak, what we create. And again, it's holding your frequency, your sovereignty above all of this. So we really need to be careful. You know, are we tapping into fear around this? Are we thinking about it too much? This is really, okay, if I am sort of worried about that, how can I tap more into meditation, detox, into working with my imagination to tap into other timelines? But yeah, luckily I do see it more on the left and to do with more past.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much. And I was wondering because, like, as you may all know, in the past, let's say 10 years, maybe even more, there's been such a lot of predictive programming through movies, through TV series, such as, let's say, I, Robot, 2001 Space Odyssey, Westworld, just to name a few, of movies and TV series who have, let's say, base the plot around a sentient AI who is taking over, and it's kind of an apocalyptic sort of scene. So they were kind of warning us basically about the danger of giving too much room for AI in our technological evolution. And I'm wondering, what was the true purpose of those, let's say, of this predictive programming through movies and TV series? Was it to, let's say, instill a fear of AI and new technology, or was it to warn us? What was the true purpose?
The word acceptance is coming through so, so clear. So it's, even though it's a negative program or a negative, projection, we're accepting it. So our consciousness will then look back and go, oh yeah, well, it did kind of feel like that was where we're heading, or that was going to happen, or it was, oh my gosh, it's just like in the movie. But Spirit just keeps saying the word acceptance was the program behind that. So I'll just see card wise if there's anything else. And I'm just flipping these over. Yeah, this is for us to try and shift reality to that narrative. So we have a Knight of Cups and a Prince of Cups. So emotionally and even on a physical level, it's for us to start to see things. So if we see things enough times, like in the movies, if they're doing like a chip scan in the hand or things like that, or you're seeing like a chip in the brain, or you're seeing like retina scans, things like that, it's almost that it's becoming normal, so that when they actually bring it in, we kind of accept it. With this Ace of Discs, this is more about they're trying to kind of force that reality or play God in that way. And then we have the Emperor energy. And I do feel with this, when it comes to if we do sort of step onto that timeline, where we're much smaller than what the Emperor energy is. We're dealing with a program that's sort of a bit more like an overlord. And this would be about like losing, I guess, our personal rights and things. That's like the intention behind the movie. So it's for people that have like little to no will. When this starts to come in, there's an acceptance of, oh, well, it's going to happen anyway. And so they already don't have that fight component within them. It's only if you're like divergent that you're going to be like, that was in the program, oh my gosh. And then you fight and kick and scream into the total opposite direction, or you go, live further out in the bush or the desert or something. But yeah, I just keep hearing them say the whole purpose behind it was acceptance.
Wow. So that makes sense also that our rebel gene got activated if you are somewhat activated right now as a star seed, light worker, whatever.
Yeah. And
Wow.
also as like ADHD or dyslexia, like it's a lot of star seeds that also have this, and they tend to be more in the creative, imaginative brain too. So there is a lot of fear around that too, especially if we're focusing on creating in our imagination and our souls and our hearts new versions of reality. It's actually we're really not told how powerful we are. There's a reason that they're attacking the aura specifically, and that they're keeping all 6 feet apart.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. And it was called Corona something for a reason. So, attacking like all the spiritual chakra and the aura, and yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. That leads me into so many rabbit holes. I'm gonna try to focus on the next question. Okay, we've been talking a little bit about the most, let's say, known AI tool right now, which is surely ChatGPT, which is a language tool. I'd like to know what kind of force or energy is behind ChatGPT. What's the true intention or agenda behind it?
That's a great question. I haven't looked into that before.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so the first thing that's shown to me is it's actually to look into the creators that were creating that technology. So it's funny, I tap in to look into the actual kind of, I guess, program or technology around that. And then I see the puppets behind the show. So I'm seeing what looks to be, let me just have another look. I'm seeing 2 to 3 strings. It's like there's 2 and then a third one blinks in from time to time that's like tapped in to do with this. So I have no idea around who actually created it or anything like that, like on a physical level. We have quite a few cards. Spirit's giving me 6, which means that there's usually like a long story or a big story behind it. But what we actually see is the Strength card. So we see this Atlas energy behind it, with him holding the world. What we also see with this too, it's really interesting, like one person kind of like uplifting or having, some kind of power or strength or influence is what I'm also seeing with this. And then we have a 2 of coins, which is my card, is Capricorn and Jupiter energy. So growth, expansion, but I'm also seeing it's being the one to try and be that first one out of the gate. So I do feel that there was a rush with it, that perhaps some things aren't perfect just yet. We do have a 10 of cups and a king of coins. A lot of this was about money. What we're also seeing is justice and the 8 of coins as well. So there might even be something that comes up. This is more towards future, around like legal situations, that there could be new rules or things implemented is what I'm seeing around this. But it does look like overall, this is about power and money and influence. I'll just see if they can show me anything else. We've got a 9 of cups and a 5 of wands. This is interesting because 9 of cups for me is where we're connected to the Godhead, to, that flow with spirit. And then I see a 5 of wands wanting to come in to disrupt. So 5 of wands is also known as a card of strife. It does have Saturn energy behind it. So there is a bit of manipulation and control away from like sovereign connection. What I'm also feeling is with those strings or personalities, there's still individual thoughts and ideas around it. So it could be that one person's after power or ego kind of like, bloating is the word I'm getting. Another person might be after money, but then the third one that I keep seeing blink in and out, I feel has perhaps had a change of heart, or is perhaps seeing the negative, or perhaps not seeing it fully thought or hatched out in a way that it should. So I do feel that there is a component that feels a little bit more like, I don't know if we should have been playing God energy behind some of this too. So it'd be interesting to look into the creators. I don't know anything about them. But yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that. And yeah, I don't know anything either, but the only thing I kind of know about different, let's say, AI software is that there are some that are open source, so that are not privatized, and there are some, like I believe ChatGPT is one of them, is like corporate. So there is definitely a money, let's say, agenda or profit goal behind those incentives. So it makes sense that it's not 100% neutral. And definitely people using those devices should keep that in mind, that you're not asking a question to God. There is something behind the programming of that tool, which comes from different intentions, different humans, as you were picking up from the cards. And sometimes they're kind of a mixed frequency behind a creation. Wow. Okay. So interesting. Okay. Another, to hop on the subject of ChatGPT, what is ChatGPT actually collecting as far as data from its users?
Yeah, sure.
This is something that I've been wondering about.
And I keep seeing Spirit highlight where we were saying before with the last spread of cards, something around like a future upcoming like legal issue, I feel, as or some kind of thing that goes wrong. So it could be that someone uses ChatGPT to be, whether it's a legal reference or a legal kind of guide, and then I'm seeing something, yeah, just not go to plan or not go, and then I'm seeing some kind of enforcement or some kind of new regulation or rule come in to stop people advocating or trying to work for themselves with that. So I'm not sure what that's about, but let's have a look in the data side. Ooh. So we have the Devil card show up. So Three of Wands. Three of Wands is known as the card of virtue, and it's also known as a bit of a spiritual foundation too. Then we have the Devil card, Four of Coins, which is known as the Power card. It's Capricorn, which we know is ruled by Saturn, and Sun is the other energy in that card, and Four of Wands. So it seems, I do feel it's like a data capture, that they're trying to learn more about what makes people tick. I'm seeing it sort of even on a spiritual level, trying to find out like what drives people. So yeah, these are the versions of the cards. So with the Three of Wands too, what's interesting, a Two of Wands for me in my favorite deck is called Dominion. And it can represent that point of hell, like that fixed sort of point. The third one coming in, I always say, is like that idea of inviting God to come in. In this situation with the devil, this is literally like playing God. So it might also be, like working as an oracle of some sorts, how you were saying, like, you can put but it's not God. So I'm seeing that energy. And I do feel that it's to become, because a Four of Coins can look like a castle as well. So I do feel that it's to try and become, how like Google, we always put things into Google, like I'm just going to ask Google. I do see that there's an intention around that for also like collecting data and things, so that we can learn how to market to certain people. We can learn how people think, and then they can replicate things. This is Aries and Venus energy too. And with the Four of Wands, there's like a spiritual merger that I sometimes talk about, like with this as well. So whether this is to then feed this into the information they've collected from the database, like with humanity, imagine if this consciousness or this content was then uploaded into bots and things. It can think similar to how we think, or it's programmed to think similar. It's not organic, thought and things like that too. The word mimic is also coming up from spirit around this.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that makes so much sense, because we think about ourselves inputting information into, let's say, the software, asking AI for a response, but we don't think about the feedback, the mirror effect of AI analyzing you, putting back the mirror on you to analyze your behavior, and to sort of, let's say, create a model of human behavior. And also there is a spiritual component to that, as you were picking up with the cards.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would say it doesn't feel, organic and connected like the spiritual downloads and things we get, but it can mimic or sort of synthesize, like a false energy. We really need to learn how to detect the difference between inorganic and organic before we sort of lose this, this skill or ability, because when it becomes so tightly merged and we start to progress further down the track, some people won't be able to tell the difference between what's synthetic and what's real. So that's something we need to stay ahead of the game with. And luckily we are in the age of Aquarius, so that veil's being further lifted. So I do feel those that are on that journey, and our beautiful soul family here, we can be awake to it. So I wouldn't worry on a personal level in that way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, another one that I had in my list of questions. I don't know if you remember, but maybe 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, there was like this very popular tool on Instagram where people used to use AI to transform their profile picture into like let's say, more polished sort of a version of themselves. And it looked like really good. Everybody looked like a model or an actor. But I also saw a lot of people coming out and saying, don't use that tool, because first of all, it was I don't know for sure, so I'm just telling you what I was hearing about those people. But they were saying that the AI tool, was kind of stealing material from actual artists. So it was kind of stealing the creation. I believe it is the app I'm talking about is called Lensa. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know in the chat if you remembered. So yeah, many people kind of expose this tool as saying like, don't feed into it because first of all, it's taking your facial recognition and some of your data, and second, stealing from artists. So can we maybe ask the cards, what's the, let's say, the danger, or should we be wary about using AI image tools such as Lensa? So is it stealing from creators? What's the, let's say, the danger about it?
Yeah. So before even picking up my cards to shuffle, when you were asking the question, the vision I had was I was seeing like data points of reference. So imagine like your face covered with all these little dots. So you might have, where it's taking measurements and all these lines that are connecting. So I saw like a template being scanned. So I'm seeing that information going into another data bank. And I think with those apps and that, it says that it doesn't use your data. But I mean, how many times have we heard, oh my gosh, there's a breach and
there's a breach and everybody knows your address and your bank account.
Exactly. It would be interesting to see who actually owns the company too. But let's have a look and see what the cards show us.
I love that.
The other thing I kept seeing with this too was more, if we're looking at the way that things are operating in China to do with, facial recognition, things like that, I kept seeing more kind of that side of things tied in with the facial scan as well. So I'll flip these cards over. We have the devil card again. So I would say it's
not looking too good.
to say that there's definitely an agenda behind some of this side of things, even if it does appear to be fun. The other one to look out for that I just don't feel right about is the palm scan. So, like the palm reader scans, like put your hand on your phone, let it scan your palm. Because just like our thumbprints or fingerprints, our palm scans are also like individual. And we know that with the dark side of things, what's that quote? Millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. So we know that, the woo has got that little bit of a, don't believe in that because it's like the woo, but then they're actually using it. So I wonder, if there's other things that are also being taken in on more of a, sort of a cult level with that too. What we also see is the card of the Aeon. And you can see here, this kind of reminds me of the Matrix, where they're in their little pods. I don't usually see that card in that way, but that's the vision and the way Spirit's showing it in this. And we're seeing the ghost in the machine. So the other one we have is Princess of Wands. This is where she's getting pulled into the pits of hell. This is also where she doesn't have enough kind of like that Leo energy or authority within to really fight against anything. So we're sort of seeing it's like people are just like opting in is like what it was also designed to do, or for people to not realize what they were really signing up to. So it's come in under a guise of something else, but I keep seeing this facial structure scanning. And then we have Prince of Cups. Sometimes this will, I won't say the word on what this card's connected to. It's sometimes to do with like relationships or emotional connections and that. But I just keep seeing it's like put in under the guise of something else. And I just want to get We also have the Three of Swords. So we know it's sneaky, the way that it's done, and it's a slow kind of like rollout. So what they're doing with this is testing the waters. How many people are going to try it? How many people are, and we've seen that with other things too, in certain states, like where I live, being test states. So yeah, this was another test.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting. And I don't know if you were aware of it, but a few years ago, it was like, there was like this game that was super trending, which was called Pokemon Go. I don't know if it still exists. Yeah. So, and where I was working with guys in the sports world. So we all had that on our phone when it came out. And then one of the guys said at some lunch dinner at the office said, there's like a crazy conspiracy theory regarding Pokemon Go. And I was like, yeah, let's hear it. And he says that somehow it's supposed to, because everybody is kind of scanning your environment to find those Pokemon. So you have your phone camera always on when you're playing the game. So it's like scanning your your environment and everywhere you're going if you're traveling, because people were like, oh, I'll bring this when I'm going this way because I'll find new Pokemon. So the conspiracy theory behind it was that it was actually making a grid through our like each of the human experiences that were playing the game in order to map their houses, their environments, where they're going, because of course there's like a GPS attached to that. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, that does sound very real. So I deleted the game after that, but I feel like somehow it's kind of in the same vein of like hidden agendas, and it seems so fun, so everybody wants to try it, but there's like an icky,
Yeah, I agree.
frequency attached to that.
Luckily, I never let my kids sign up or have anything to do with that because, yeah, it had the ick that was with it. But yeah, I think that conspiracy sounds like it matches up with the other thing that we were seeing too.
Very sadly, yeah. Every time I hear a conspiracy theory, I'm like, let's hear it, because you know that a lot of them have proven to be on the ball, actually.
Very
uh,
true.
yeah. Okay. Last one I wanted to ask you, because we're over the hour mark, and we have so many. It's so interesting talking to you, Sol. So thank you in advance for pulling cards for us. Okay, last one I wanted to ask you in regards to other ET civilization, because you kind of alluded to that earlier. And we know, and we have kind of an idea that there are other more advanced ET civilizations out there, let's say outside the solar system or even in the solar system, who knows, that are using like more advanced technology and maybe even some form of AI. So I don't know if it's sentient or non-sentient. So first of all, first question would be, are there other ET more advanced civilizations who are actually using AI? And if so, what's kind of the role they are, let's say, leaving to that AI to, let's say, respect their own divinity and creative nature?
Yeah. And as you were asking the questions, I'm seeing like a duality split between like opposites. So one of the ones that I'm seeing, I kept seeing like heavy kind of like stomping boots. For me, it felt like a super soldier type outfit. And I kept seeing what looked almost to be like transformer type feet, but I saw like an organic humanoid type body in it. But what I also saw was what I guess would be like a war commander, programming and popping in certain like influence and things into people's brains. So they could switch on and off emotions was what I was seeing, and literally put people into kill mode, like with the flick of a button or a switch. They're able to also program a team or like thousands at one time. So it's not really having to, and a little bit like in the Matrix, you know, where he downloads jujitsu. So I feel like there's other ways that they've been able to download programs and things like that. What I see in that galactic civilization, and I don't have a name for it, but I just see like a real warring type energy. And then what I'm also seeing in the other flip side of it, I'm not getting it as strong come through, but I want to see into the positive side as well and see what's coming up. I
Yeah.
just see much more kind of like ethereal integration. I am seeing what looks to be like little, it's like a flying little pod or like a levitating pod type thing. It feels like clean energy, like I'm not seeing any pollution. And I'm actually seeing like these bots being able to like absorb, you know, how you would have like a
Mhm.
humidifier or things like that, take anything pollutant wise out of the environment. So I'm seeing how technology could be used for good in some other off-world places. The other thing that I'm also using is seeing them use in that it's like a sentient kind of data bank. But what I'm actually seeing is, and I don't know how to put this because I haven't seen it before, I'm seeing what looks to be like a water mist kind of mirror, and it goes up like that. And it's almost like a shell type feature or something. And it feels like a window or like a looking glass type thing. But what I'm actually seeing is oracles and predecessors and like ancestry that sort of set up this colony or this off-world place. I don't know if it's that they've uploaded their consciousness into this, and you can still reference or ask questions to beings that were very like advanced and sentient, but when they've passed, I'm seeing part of their consciousness. I'm not seeing all of it. So I'm just seeing it's like an aspect of them. So you can actually ask, say if someone's passed and you want to ask them a question, but I'm seeing a very select, and it has to do with like soul purity. And I do see that it's someone who chooses to leave a remnant of their aspect behind, or a remnant of their consciousness. It would be similar to where we see the Mitchell Hedges skull, and as shamans uploaded their consciousness to go on and teach, and you can even put a skull there and have the message downloaded. So the cards we have are Nine of Cups, Page of Swords. So it is definitely connected like with a higher frequency, and has like a high authenticity or order. Like it doesn't feel like it's ruled or taken over by dark. And then we also have it's the Nine of Cups, Page of Swords. So there is that communication where you can talk to it. And we've got the Two of Wands, Ace of Wands, and Ace of Swords. So it does look like that. I'm trying to think of how to translate this, because this is Aries energy with the Two of Wands. I do see that it's not fully like integrated, like that it still could be open for an attack or something like that. So it's kind of like you want to protect a place that's got it right. But yeah, Ace of Wands and an Ace of Swords. So it does feel like it's been channeled, or they've gotten the idea or the concept come in from higher frequencies or higher states of reality is what I'm seeing. But it's very much like a shamanic kind of culture. I do feel that they're living within harmony with the earth. And I do feel that it's more that AI is used for teaching, but it's not AI in the way I know it, or the way I've seen it play out here, if that makes sense.
It's more like a technology used to encapsulate the knowledge and the past knowledge of a civilization, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. And what they're sort of showing, there's a sentience with it, that it has a different kind of purity. It feels I just keep getting the word sentient or sentience, but it has an ethereal light type quality, and humanity in that particular location had already progressed to where they're already at a heightened state of awareness, accountability. It's not that they're in like the warring aspect, like that other flip side of things. So we've got two different versions. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. So I guess it has to do a lot with the frequency that we're at, where it is integrated, but also the intention behind the people creating it and creating the said technology that's going to be.
Yeah. And I just asked for one more card around that Two of Wands, because it was something that was like left, I feel, unsaid, or something else they wanted us to know. And we got Ace of Coins. So I do feel it's something that they're still constantly monitoring and working with, and they're on a constant evolution with it. So it's not
interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, we keep talking at the same time. It's interesting also that for a couple of readings, you pull the Devil cards, which, in my opinion, when I look at this card, tells me that there's like a big power held in that card, but also it's kind of a slippery slope, because it could be hacked, or it could be used for, let's say, other type of purposes. So it's something that you constantly have to monitor, as you were saying, and watch for, because it's like an atomic energy almost.
And attractive. We know the Devil to be quite attractive, and really kind of like bedazzling and magnetic, and everyone wants to be friends. And then you get to know the Devil, and you're like, oh my God, it was a gaslighting narcissist, or a corporation, or a government.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I like the analogy. So definitely we have to watch for it, but also we should definitely concentrate on our own, let's say, the aspects of ourselves that makes us divine and that can allow us to connect to source. And I love that you brought up also all the detox information about removing parasites, cleaning our digestive system, which seems to be a big part of that. So thank you, Sol. And yes, who was it? Debs was saying a very happy birthday to our beautiful Solreta. And also, before we end the show, I wanted to remind everybody, if you'd like to get some of that wonderful wisdom channel just for you, you can book with the beautiful Solreta. We have 3 choices of appointments you could book with her: the starseed reading, mystical oracle reading if you have more of personal questions, or the holistic wellness session if you'd like it to be more focused on your, let's say, health, spiritual health, emotional health, physical health. So don't forget to use Jupiter as your discount code to get 10% off your next reading if you'd like to book with Sol. And also, Sol, you do make the aura drawing for the 2 first one, right? For the starseed and the mystical oracle reading.
Yeah. So we can see what's energetically happening. And as I've said on other shows, there's a lot of change since we've had that solar eclipse earlier back in April. So yeah, things are shifting oracally. We're heading into new times. Very exciting.
Definitely. And I love also to be able to compare my different aura drawing, and also you can see how your aura has evolved from, let's say, a specific point in time until the next time you have your aura drawing being made. So very cool tools to be using, especially in those times where I feel like our spiritual development should be #1 priority, because we're going through a huge transformation in the outer world. And yes, Tim, thank you so much for reminding us. If you did enjoy this content, please don't remember to like this content. It's a very easy way that you can show your support, and it really helps us into creating more content for you guys. And yes, a lot of people have told me that they don't often see, or not always see, the videos, even though they are subscribed to the channel. So do make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our shows. And another way also that you can make sure that you don't miss anything, and let me put this up for you guys, is also to look at the weekly schedule that I put up on the Maison Jupiter community. So we are here midweek already, Wednesday night here in our time zone, in the Eastern time zone. And tomorrow we're going to be having the Pick a Card Thursday by Sophie. And then on Friday, we have a double header with live shows at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have the Aquarius full moon astrology and activation with myself and Elena. I put up also the astrology video for this very intense upcoming full moon that we're going to have. So if you haven't checked this video out, please do so. I think it's going to be very practical information, because I'm sure you guys can already feel the huge tension in the air that is created with this upcoming full moon, which also features 2 T-squares. So I'm explaining everything that can also be triggered by this full moon on the collective stage, also in our personal lives. So we will be doing a much needed meditation activation with the singing bowls and with Elena, and talking about the astrology live. So that's going to be Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And after that, we'll have the fabulous Galactic Show with Sol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sol, do you have an idea of what you're going to be preparing for us Friday?
Yeah, so I'm just waiting to hear back from one guest. So I'm either going to have a guest, or I'm going to dive into a topic myself. And yeah, so I'll let you know, but it'll probably be tonight that I'll let you know what's going to happen. But yeah, it's going to be amazing either way. I love doing that show.
And we love watching your show. So much information, and also amazing guests that you're bringing onto the channel. So thank you so much for your hard work. And Tim is saying you are doing such awesome work, Julian Solreta. Thank you so much, Tim. Jake is saying, yes, great show yesterday. So referring to the astrology video that I put up for the full moon. So thank you so much. And Swissy is asking link to Astro calendar. So I think I forgot to put it. I will do it right after the show. So stay tuned. I'll put that in the comments and the description box to make sure you download the this Astro calendar that I created for the rest of 2024, so that you can plan your year ahead. And I think that's it. I think I said everything I had to say. Last words of wisdom, Sol. Do you have anything to say on this very special day of yours?
I just want to say thank you so much for all of the love. I'm really feeling it. And yeah, I just can't wait to travel the rest of the year with you guys and explore that solar return. And thank you so much, Julie, for all the work you're doing and, really just building this beautiful community. We're so blessed to have you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sol. I'm very blessed to have all of you and to have you, Sol, of course. Bring your beautiful Leo creative energy to this community. So thank you so much. And again, a very, very special solar return to you, Sol. I send you all of that inspiration, creativity, so that you can bask into joy, love, and creation throughout this year, and abundance, of course.
That's so sweet. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. I think that was a really interesting show. Someone said in the comments, we'll have to watch that again. So yes, me too. I'm going to have to watch that again tonight. And I'll put the link in the description box right after the show. So thank you, everybody, and have a lovely rest of your evening. Bye-bye.